Mastering project visibility, a smarter way to plan, track, and collaborate. This session will be really high level. We'll actually get into projects and Zoho sprints quite a bit and do some demo for you. So the agenda today, we're going to be talking about projects, talking about waterfall project management. So it's sort of the methodology that undergirds the structure of the tool. That's a very technical way of saying, how do I use it? We'll talk to you about how we think you should use it. Then we'll go into the plan, track, collaborate portion, and that's going to be demo. I'm going to be in projects, showing the tool, and you are going to have a pretty good sense of it by the end of that on how you should actually use it for yourself. Then we'll talk a little bit about sprints, show a little bit of sprints demo, and then talk about hybrid projects, and that's when our customer speaker, Yafi, is going to come up and walk you through a little bit of how they've been using projects with sprints. So project management on a high level, this is how we think of it. There's two sort of main methods to this: the waterfall method and the agile method. First, about how these are structured. So at a high level, you can think of Zoho projects structured as the way you might build a house. The waterfall method is good for this. You build a foundation, you build walls. At some point you put a window, but you can't put the windows until the walls. You can't put the roof until there's walls and a foundation under it, right? It's progressive. A has to be completed before B, C, D, so on and so forth. Whereas sprints uses agile, which is different. It's more attuned to something like software development, where you have constant updates, constant developments, and a running goal. So you don't just complete a project, done with it, I'm out of here. You're going to have a running series of goals that you're trying to hit. And we'll show that off to put it more in context. So Zoho Projects has been around for almost 20 years at this point. Over 500,000 businesses using it. A whole bunch of projects completed in almost every country in the world. And it's grown a lot just in the last 5 years, especially as people have kind of come back online for work, with a huge addition of customers across the last 4. And it's among the most used apps in Zoho 1. It's in the top 5. So when do we use projects? When we need a repeatable project. So the example being, I'm a house building company. Maybe I offer 5 different kinds of home. I know exactly what goes into building those. I have my contractors signed up. I already know exactly who I need to contact. I just need to be able to push these things out and repeat the process regardless of any dependencies or bottlenecks, because those are always the same. They're always structured into the project itself. I might need micro visibility at the micro level looking at a task, or macro visibility looking at a task list, or indeed a milestone, or sometimes called a phase. And I need to know every step along this way, and I need to coordinate multiple teams. So I might have, a concrete laying team. I might have window specialists. I might have insulation people, electrical, plumbing, all that kinds of stuff. So I want to jump into Zoho Projects. So this is Zoho Projects. As typical with Zoho apps, we navigate it using these areas on the left. And we can break down and get overviews across all of our projects by looking at reports, tasks, issues, milestones. These are going to pull information from all our projects, right? It's going to show us every milestone across our project. And just so you know, a milestone, right, it's like the larger goals that are made up of smaller goals. Milestones are made of task lists are made of tasks are made of subtasks. And then here are the projects that we have ongoing. So we have this house build for Alicia and Yemen. As you can see here, we have this task list, which is made of these tasks, right? These tasks, this one task in this task list, so on and so forth. And I can collapse these if needed to just look at the task lists, or I can zoom out and look at the overall dashboard for the project. So that's situating you. If I am to go over here and click on, let's say, one of these tasks, let's go click on this guy. Now we're seeing all the tasks within the list on the left here. If anyone's used Zoho Desk, it's structured similarly in that instead of tickets, we have tasks. And we can look at the information relating to this one task in this list right here. So we see it's currently open. We have a planned budget of about $1,200, an actual so far of $560, remaining balance, the forecasted total. And of course, we're getting this by when we launch a project, we have a cost per hour of work. So it's doing that calculation based on the number of hours we said this project is going to take. it's doing the calculation to figure out, okay, this is how much balance you have back based on the hours logged, which are down here. So we can really get very granular with each task and indeed tie subtasks to it to get even more granular. And we can attach documents to tasks or to the project as a whole. So for example, if I go out here and click documents, these are documents that are attached to this project. You see, we can support things like images. We can support contracts through Zoho Sign. So these are actual legally binding contracts. We can plug in templates for contracts and documents and deploy them right away. We also have writer documents, PDFs. So a whole bunch of documents can be stored here so that as a project user or maybe even a client, you don't have to go and find these and track them down elsewhere and know that they're attached to this project in this big trove of items you have stored in WorkDrive or Dropbox or whatever. They're attached directly to a project right there. This is a big thing for a lot of folks. They have, remember, projects is tuned for repeatable projects, right? So we're not like making a brand new project every time we launch, or maybe you are, but we're really trying to make it so that if you're a company, you probably know the structure of your projects generally. You're not making things up from whole cloth right away. If I hit new project, you see we have a bunch of project templates here that we can pull from, and you could build custom templates for your company. Or I can start totally blank, but it's kind of up to you. So there is no thing where it's like, well, I'm the house builder and we have 5 models, and every single time I have to rebuild the entire project. I have to reassociate who the task owners are. I have to reassociate documents. I have to reassociate templated documents. All of that stuff is plugged into your one project that you can deploy over and over without having to repeat a bunch of work. Now, how many of you love your jobs? How many of you have your boss next to you, near you, in earshot? How many of you are just paranoid that they might be in the room and you can't see them? I'm going to guess, I'm going to give that a 50-50 on this question because I can't trust you guys. And you shouldn't trust me either. But you should, because I'm an evangelist. Okay, eliminate routine processes. So this is a big part of it. If you don't love your job, good news for you. Maybe you have routine processes you don't like to have to do every single day you come into office or anything like that. You can plug them into broader systems and have them automated for you. So for example, you can see this recruitment process here that goes through a series of steps that you can design with something like Zoho Flow or a blueprint and plug into it these easy tasks here, right? So you can plug in email alerts, field updates within Zoho projects. As someone proceeds through this automation, it will automatically email alerts or update fields within your project, and you can build these out custom. For example, and I'm not going to sit here and show you this whole one, but you can build a custom automation that says, okay, anytime the task owner changes, we can send a message and click our chat tool to update them of this process. And you can build these out and have them update, archive on new project, on project completion, on project delay. You have a whole bunch of different ways you can sort this out. So moving into the tracking, that's how you plan a project, but how do you actually track how things are going? If I go back over to Zoho projects, and I go to, let's say we want to track time here, so I can go back to this project that we were on. This is the house build. Once again, here's the document module. But we can look at extra modules here and say, okay, let's look at the timesheets for this project. And we can change how we're viewing these. So we can look here and see how timesheets have been logged over the last week. We can look at this sheet. There's also several different ways we can break things down, not only here, but elsewhere. For example, I can look at across this calendar what time has been logged. You see 7 hours here, 3 hours here. If I click on that, I can see exactly what the logs were. Someone asked earlier about timers that you can start. Those exist up here. And we want to give you the flexibility to really view things how you want. So maybe you want the list view or always the calendar view. Likewise, within tasks, you can change it from this list view, which is helpful. You can't really see how dependencies are built between tasks. You can switch to a Gantt task, a Gantt chart here. And this will list all of your tasks on a calendar view. Going wild. and show you dependency lines between these things. Now, what's useful about this, if I close this, go back to list real quick. What's useful about this is now we can see how tasks are tied to one another. For example, if we see a dependency here, if I am to take this and move this out and say, actually, the due date for this is later, it's going to move all of these progressively over. So you're not going to have a situation where, okay, one element gets delayed in a project, and now the rest of it's off track, or have to go and adjust the due dates on everything. Using this kind of view, you adjust the due date on one task, every single dependent task, and every dependent task on that task also gets moved out. Likewise, we have the Kanban view. Maybe your tasks, your projects aren't as heavy duty, and you just want a more lightweight way to handle projects before you kind of move into more heavy duty projects where you're saying, okay, this works for now, but I actually want to build dependencies down the line. I want to connect things down the line. Maybe this works for you now where you just have different statuses for your tasks and you just move them through the Kanban board like this, right? Another useful thing that you can do within timesheets, let's go, actually speaking of tracking time, let's go over to the finance module. So you see you can track time with a timer here, or you can log hours independently on a task. Would you just open a task, hit log hours, you're good to go. But you don't have to shoot over to your finance team to then build an invoice on any of this stuff. We have invoice building directly in Zoho projects where if I open, look at this one here, customer name Alicia Richards, it's pulling that from the person associated with this project, the house build project. That's the main contact. We see this one's overdue by 19 days. The amount it's over, the amount that the invoice is worth. And if I click on it, we'll see a picture of the invoice. See the little overdue tag. It breaks down by task and description, the cost for each one of these. And this is all customizable. If you have a user that wants a different set of items to be displayed here, maybe you don't want tasks, you want milestones, you want all your subtasks visible. However you want to break it down, you can do that with your invoicing there. So how many times have we made a project, or been working, and the guy next to you who maybe loves his job more than you is not quite as busy as you are? And how many times have we wanted to maybe change that or make it so that we were feeling a little bit better about how things were going? No one's ever had this? No one's ever resented a coworker? Now I know you're liars. Well, if you go to the report side of things, we can look at how work is allocated between every single user within this project. So we can see this little red chart here. Our admin has some very busy days coming up, and we can see exactly how these hours are filled up. We have it set to 8 hours as full working day. We see that they actually have 16 hours of work allocated to them on this day. But look at these users down here. They're empty. They're living easy. And we can see how are those 16 hours counted up? Because they have 8 hours assigned to them across 2 tasks. So I could go in and edit these tasks and say, okay, actually remove the admin from working on this. Let's move it to someone else that's open. So Alfred down here, for example, has a rough day. Well, let's give him a slightly less rough day. I give him a full day of work down there, so he's not getting that Monday off anymore. He's gonna have to deal with it. And you'll actually see this little pop up here. So anytime I've set up this new project announcement channel, so anytime I make changes in this, it's gonna send me notifications in Click, right? So I don't have to worry about missing anything just because I'm not in Zoho projects. We're pushing it around the information to wherever you're a user in Zoho. If you're a Click user, you can get notifications on your phone from that. However you want to break it up, you'll get that info. The last thing I want to talk about here is analytics. Well, bad news for you. We're going to build a lot of them for you. Good news for half of you, bad news for the other half. But the good news returns because this dashboard was automatically built as soon as we plugged in our project tool into Zoho Analytics. But it's a live dashboard. None of this is static. So I can go into this and I can open this report up and I can add filters. I can drill down on any one of these bars and see, okay, this is which is basically the product keeping us the busiest chart. And I can edit the design, copy it to a different dashboard, I have the full power of analytics. Just because we build the report for you doesn't mean it is any less useful than ones that you custom build yourself. You can edit them, tweak them, resave them to the dashboard, however you'd like to do that. But collaboration, I showed you a little bit of the project-based chats. You can have project-based chats around one project. You can have chats around the entirety of your projects, so all of them. You can make them personal so that anytime a task gets assigned to you, it notifies you and you mute the other channels. It's very, very versatile. That's one thing that Project is really good at. You can turn on and off various pieces based on what you, the user, want to see. You can even have task-based chats. So you can have whole chats or meetings built directly from a single task. For example, if I go here, back to, let's just go back to this project because I've been working in it. Hit the task module. And I say, okay, there's this task here. Permit for septic is needed. And I hit view. On the right, you can see these two little icons. I've turned on integration between Click and Meeting with Zoho projects. So I can just hit this little meeting icon and meet right away. Now, let me choose a task that has more people assigned to it here. We'll say review architect materials list. You'll see it automatically pulls in all the people that are assigned to this task. I don't have to go search and hunt down email IDs or anything like that and add them in. They're assigned to work on this task. You see the admin, Wilfred and Karen Crow down there. It's going to automatically pull them in and say, do you want to meet now with them? Do you want to schedule a meeting? You can set an agenda, add more participants, duration, everything that you can do in meeting, you can do right from in projects, but base it on a specific task. So they have the context for the meeting before it even starts. You don't have to re-enter a bunch of data. Likewise with Click, if we hit the little click button here and I hit new conversation, it's going to pull the title from the task, automatically add the participants just like meeting, and I can start a new channel to discuss this right from within Zoho projects and come back to it later. To come back to it later, I can just open Click, it'll be a channel, and I'm good to go. User permissions here, you have all the control you need. A very common question is, what about like clients, client views? I want them to be able to, say, upload some documents and files, but I don't want them to be able to, edit any of my tasks, or I do want them to be able to do that. You can see there's a lot of options here. There's a huge breadth of ability that you can permission any number of roles to. It's all up to you. It's really, really versatile, a continuing theme with projects. And of course, privacy and security, we own the tech stack, so your data is not off in some server that we're not paying attention to. Your data is on our tech and our data centers. Disaster recovery, so we do backups. We are, of course, GDPR and more compliant, and we don't do any tracking. Your stuff is encrypted. Your stuff is safe with us. And we're very open to third-party integrations. A common thing in software is to make it so that, oh, isn't our product great? Now do you want to pay us like 2x to connect it with anyone? We don't do that. If you have a third-party tool and we support an integration, feel free, have at it. And likewise with Zoho applications, of course, we're deeply embedded there. We're on tablet, mobile, and web, and we're working on a native desktop client as well. And you're in good company with a bunch of different folks. Some of these companies you've heard of, some you haven't, but they're all here. And if you have heard of them, excellent. But that's waterfall, right? So that's the whole waterfall side of things, breaking projects down into smaller pieces that are built-in dependencies. What about something like Zoho Sprints? Why might you use Zoho Sprints? Well, because you need to adapt to changes quickly. Remember, think of this as from the software development side of things. You need to push an update, you have bugs, you aren't exactly sure what the necessary steps are in completing something, but you know that you will have to hold to a release schedule and release continuously. The core of sprints, if the waterfall project methodology is the core of projects, taking big pieces, breaking them into small things that you work on until the bigger thing is completed, this is the core of agile project management. So you have a project backlog. Backlog is made of several different types of tasks, but they're all tasks. Leave it at that until I show you the product. And then you take those things and you put them in what's called a sprint, building a sprint backlog. A sprint is a set amount of time that you're going to spend working to complete all the items in the sprint backlog. You have a huge list of things you need to do. You say, okay, I'm going to take 8, 10, 12, 5, whatever the number is of those, and complete them over this set amount of time. A sprint is typically 2 to 8 weeks, whatever makes sense for your team. And by the end of that 2 to 8 weeks, I'm going to have a finished product or update, some kind of release. So we see how this is really common with software development teams in particular. So again, unclear steps. So maybe the thing that you are trying to sprint on is I want to make it so that screens between my application don't lag when users move between them. We don't really know how we're going to do that, but we know it needs to get done. That might be an item within a sprint. You likely have a single team, so this works with smaller groups, all of whom are working together, integrally together. Your needs and challenges might change based on the items in the backlog. And you're probably a Scrum or Kanban or Scrumban style individual. For example, do we know what Scrum is? A Scrum just means a meeting. So Scrumming is a big part of Agile project management. It means you're going to meet constantly on these things. So every day, typically with Agile development, you have a meeting at the start of the day to discuss what blockers are, what you're going to complete. Because remember, you're on a set time schedule. You're trying to complete a sprint. 2 to 8 weeks, this all has to get done. You have to all get on the same page at the beginning of every day, and likely throughout the day as well. So typically, whenever someone uses this kind of thing, they are preferring to meet frequently. So here we are in Zoho sprints, structured similarly in terms of layout to projects. We have general overviews up here. I'm not going to get too much into these. Some of these are sort of software development specific. You can have a global view, which of course gives you a dashboard, giving you a general view of all your ongoing sprint projects. And here are our projects themselves. We're looking at a Bank of Verdia mobile app build. And here is the backlog. The key thing about the backlog, you see this little icon right here? That little green icon, if I scroll down, you see these blue icons, scroll more, see these red icons. Green icons are what are called user stories. As an admin, I want to add new items to the catalog so users can view and interact with them. Remember, we're trying to orient this sprint toward a release product. We want to justify our tasks right away, so we justify them with this sort of syntax. As an admin, I want this. As a user, I want this. As a customer, I want this. It's, again, trying to focus people right away on the thing we're trying to solve. We take these backlog items and add them into a sprint right here. So you see we have this sprint called authentication, and I can load up and get a bunch more information on it. You see the 2-week duration, estimation points. This is just an add up of basically the estimated difficulty to complete this. Epics, these are stories that stretch across sprints. So one epic might be user engagement and support enhancements. That's going to be ongoing. You're going to have tasks related to that in sprints, probably for the end of time until this product disappears or this app disappears, right? You're constantly going to be trying to enhance your support process. So that won't be just one sprint. So you can tie different tasks to this epic across multiple sprints and the entire project. We have releases, boards. This is your Kanban zone that we've built here. And again, these are all customizable statuses. Reports. If you're an Agile user, you know burn down and burn up are very important reports. We build those automatically for you. It's essentially a way of estimating how much time have I used, how much do I have left in the sprint, are we going to hit the goal? And then timesheets, similar to projects. When was time actually spent on this? Was it approved? Is it billable? How does this all roll up into the entirety of the sprint? As you can see up here, we're looking at the total logged hours for this. And because sprints have to be really versatile, we make it easy to quickly add things. So the goal of sprints is to make it so that teams that are using Agile can work really quickly and be adaptable. Whether you need to add tasks, add time, do whatever you have to do, you can do it right away. But you can also adapt to changes. For example, we have that user story. As a user, I would like to have a notification section. It's likely you don't want all the knowledge around that user story, around that task, to be located just in meetings. So we have it so that within even stories or tasks or bugs, you can add dependencies. As a part of that story, you see we have a couple to-dos, those blue icons. We have a bug that popped up. We have another to-do. So you can build out more to complete a single story, right? It's really flexible, big, small. We're trying to manage it all. But what about hybrid projects? So it's possible that you may want waterfall management to manage a large process, and it may even be repetitive, something you do frequently. But you also want an element of the Agile methodology in there. Or say you're building something physical, like a home, but you need to custom program all the smart objects in that home, something like that, you're going to need software development. So Agile might be better for that. Do we support that? Well, this is when I hand off to my guy, Yafi over here.
Hey everybody. Thank you. My name is Yafi. Jason Yafi. I go by my last name. I work for RJG. Been there for about 8 years. I'm the user experience manager there, and I was responsible for the Zoho 1 implementation in 2019. So I'm here to walk you through from a very high level how we use sprints and projects, just so you can get kind of a practical overview of how it works for our company and the benefits that it provides us. Just real quick, RJG is an international training and technology company. We make a lot of sensors and technology that goes into plastic injection molding facilities, and to teach people how to reduce waste and reduce scrap and make high quality parts. So we've got 150 people. We've got offices in 7 different countries. Our Zoho implementation was pretty fun, as you can imagine. And we started off with CRM, and then we started off with help desk and then grew into other applications. So what was really awesome about Zoho 1 is we could grow into other applications. And so the project management space was one of those areas that we grew into. We do not have a specific project management title at our company. So whether you're in leadership or whether you're a manager or whether you're a team leader or an individual, everybody's responsible for their own projects and managing them. And that's some great benefit that Zoho has brought us. Some of the challenges that we had, we have departmental teams, we have cross-functional teams, we have leadership teams, we have teams that include our customers and our clients. So we just have this awesome dichotomy of having to work together. And one of the biggest challenges was, that collaboration and that transparency to keep everybody on the same page. And with that, we were using at the time Monday and Trello and Asana and Smartsheets and the dreaded Excel spreadsheet that had to be attached to an email to manage projects. So it was a super fun time in our business where just desperate systems and having Zoho be there for us was pretty awesome to grow into. And again, you've got all these different teams. How does our leadership team have visibility into our projects and know what's going on so they can right the ship if needed or change the strategy? A guy with one name has to have his own quote on his own slideshow. So thanks for bearing with me here. But as Travis was saying, if there are a lot of knowns, we use the waterfall methodology and we use projects. And if there are a lot of unknowns, we use Zoho sprints. So I run the UX team, and I'm also part of the product management team. Product management team goes out to our customers, same with the UX team, and gathers empathy from our customers to understand their needs and their problems so we can then turn them into solutions, give them to our software development team so that they can code those solutions, and then we can launch that back out into the market. So we use Zoho sprints, and I'll show you a example of this week's sprint board. This was done on Friday. Now, below the fold, there's hundreds of tasks. So this is just a very simplified view. But our UX team sprints because when we go to customers and show them specific UI designs of our applications, they're going to give us feedback, and then we have to come back and make changes. So we take this real iterative approach until we're at a certain point where we can then hand that off to development, and then they can develop our software. So this is just a good example of how we use the Kanban or the Kanban. We've got our to-do list, our in progress, and our done. And then as Travis was saying, from a customizable standpoint, we have a waiting for review part of our Kanban board, which can kick things back or forward. Once our software is developed or our products are developed and they are ready to go to market, we use Zoho projects and take that waterfall approach because there are a bunch of knowns. We know that we have to make social media assets. We know we have to make content. We know we have to contact our PR team. So, we take those designs and those developed products and then go ahead and use projects to template out our work to take it to market and launch it. Here is a quick Gantt chart view of one of our strategic pillars. We've got 3 major objectives within RJG. One is to produce high quality parts so our customers have a great experience. The next is to generate revenue. And then the third one is around innovation. So this is our quality rock. We use OKRs. John Doerr's book, Measure What Matters, is what we follow. So we follow an objective and key result methodology for strategy within the company. And all of that is tracked within Zoho projects, and it drills down into every team within the company so that our leadership team and our senior management team can get together, foresee any problems or issues that are coming up with our projects, and we're able to right the ship and make sure that we can solve any problems or roadblocks that might come up from a strategic standpoint. If we don't hit our strategy, we don't hit our revenue. So it really gives our leadership team fantastic visibility throughout the company and transparency throughout the company to make sure that our strategy stays on track. Benefits, I know Travis spoke of these benefits, but we have clear, consistent communication and accountability and transparency amongst all of our teams. Or if we have specific projects that we don't want everybody to see, we can adjust the system to make sure that happens. This helps with consistent time to market, and I really want to say faster time to market, but I don't have the specific data for you for that. But consistent time to market is really important for us to make sure that we are launching our products and our features in a reasonable time frame, and that our key results are hit. And again, this helps our leadership team foresee any issues or problems that may arise so they can make adjustments and help those teams succeed in hitting their time boxes and making sure we're getting the results that we want in the time frame that we want. And I think that's it for me. I think, again, Zoho has been amazing for us. We're able to use it the way we want. We can use it very simply, very easily, or we can go into a lot of the complex things that Travis brought up. So it's very moldable to what we do. And we want to create better products, and we want to create better experiences for our customers, and having project management systems within our company that are both integrated and transparent across the company really help us achieve that. Thank you.